The five people I shared my strengths with was my two best friends, Kristen and Taylor, and I talked to them together. Then I talked to my mom and dad together, and then I talked to my boyfriend, just me and him. And so I explained how it works and asked them if they see those strengths in me, and they completely agreed with almost all of them. So with positivity, Kristen and Taylor, they talked about how they always come to me when they're having a bad day, and they know that if they're having a bad day they could depend on me to like kind of brighten up their day and encourage them. And I always just send them, encouraging texts throughout the week, like have a great day at work, or you're killing it at school. And so they see that. They talked about how they see that in me, especially with Taylor. She's in school to be a physical therapist, and it's very intense, and she has crazy exams. And so whenever she's stressed about an exam, I always tell her how much I believe in her and how she's never failed a test, so how is she going to fail one now, a year in? And so I just really bring that positive aspect. And John always says that, or he's told me before, that I am the biggest ray of sunshine he knows. So he definitely sees the positivity in my personality too. I think my parents were talking about how they see it, not that they don't think that I'm a positive person because they see that I'm a positive person, but we talked about how I go to them a lot, especially when I'm at my worst, when I'm struggling, when I'm having a hard time, especially to my mom. They see the worst in me, and they see me when I'm not strong and when I'm not being positive and I am weak. And so because of that, they didn't, see, they see the positivity, but they also see the not negativity, but when I'm weak. So that's something that we talked about and mentioned, that I'm not positive all the time. With communication, I'm also, though we talked about how I'm the worst when it comes to communicating with my parents. I will have plans and go out and do things and not, they don't know where I'm at. I mean, I don't live with them or anything like that, but I just sometimes need to be better about just checking in with them and letting them know I'm safe. So when it comes to that, they said that I need to get better at communication, but I'm also, texting them a lot, and I send them pictures if I go on a vacation, which I do quite often. I'll send them pictures, and so I do communicate. It's just I need to get better about specific ways to communicate with them so they know I'm safe. Kristen always talks about how we never have a communication issue. Her and I've never had any issues together. We always talk about our feelings, and yeah, so we have a great communication relationship. Taylor sometimes gets frustrated, and so she talked about how she has a hard time communicating, and when if I do make her upset, and she doesn't communicate that with me. So I'm the one, because I am a strong communicator. We're talking about how I'm the one that will comfort her and say like, hey, I know something's up. Let's go to Starbucks. I'll buy you coffee. Let's talk about it. So she talked about how I'm really good with communication, especially when she's not. And with my boyfriend John, we communicate everything. We communicate how we feel for one another. We communicate when we're frustrated, and we communicate very well. Like, I'm frustrated. This is why I'm frustrated. Or should I be frustrated? And we really have those just very open, calm communication conversations about anything whenever we're frustrated or with each other. Little things like my birthday was just a week ago, and this was our first birthday that we spent together, and I love birthday cards because I like to have the notes and remember them, because I go back and I read like, oh, my 30th birthday, this is what John wrote for me or whoever wrote for me, and I just communicated that with him, because and he said if I didn't communicate that with him, he would not have known that a birthday card is very important to me. So we just do a very good job about communicating everything. Um, with Woo, my parents really do see that I've been the life of the party. They were talking about how I've just always been that person since I was born. I'm always energetic and I'm always engaging with others since they can remember. That's just who I've always been. Both Tay and Kristen we talked about how they depend on me whenever we go into new situations or a party where they don't know people, or wherever we're at. If we don't know any people, they depend on me to make new friends and kind of get them comfortable with the situation. Um, and then my activator strength, John appreciates the organization and planning that comes with an activator, but he also sees the impatience that comes with it and always talks to me about how I need to be patient and everything takes time. And sometimes I'm like, let's do this and how about we plan that? And he's like, babe, calm down. We don't have to rush it. And so he's balancing that and teaching me. With Activator, also with Taylor and Kristen, they love it because they were talking about how I'm the one that makes all the plans. Are you guys free this weekend? Let's do that. It's your birthday. Let's plan this. If they were talking about how if it wasn't for me, they wouldn't do half the things that they do. So they very much appreciate that strength in me. And then my parents, especially my dad, we just talked about how he always teases me for being a planner. Always makes me fun of me for always being on the go and always having something to do. And used to say, oh, our house is just your hotel. You're always on the go and always doing something. So we talked about how that's something that has always been in me. And belief. My parents tie belief very much into the specific evangelical upbringing in church that I went to. And so for them, they were talking about how they don't see that strength in me as compared to who I used to be. And I just think that it's because they don't understand. We talked about how they don't understand that I love God but it's just not in the specific box that you put it in. And so they struggled with that one. Taylor and Kristen, they talked about when I was talking about the characteristics of belief, they really pointed out that they see the altruistic side of the strength and that I have high ethics. When someone does something wrong, I get upset and I'm like, that's not right. And I'm all about justice and it's not fairness. And so they really talked about that. That really stands out to them. And with John, him and I are just on the same spiritual level and we're just see our relationship with God the same way. And we always talk about it and we always talk about that stuff. So he really sees it in me the most.